Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we are going to be building a filter animation in React. As you can see here, this is the final project and we have this filter all action, adventure, animation and comedy. So this image here is basically come from the TheMovieDB. As you can see here, we have the image and also the title of the movie. Okay, so if I click action, bam. You see that? Pretty cool, right? If I go to adventure, nice, animation, comedy. Okay, really cool animation here. And also this is responsive. If I open mobile, it's gonna be look like this. All right. So for the animation, we are gonna using frame of motion. All right. So yeah, let's get started, guys. All right. So in here, I have a folder called React Filter Animation. So let's generate the React application in this current folder. So let's go to Vite. I'm going to using Vite. So let's click get started and I'm going to use npm. So let's click this command and paste that in here. And I'm going to render the React application in this current folder. So I can use / here and hit enter. And we are going to select the React and also JavaScript. And now we can say npm install to install all the dependency. All right, it's done. Now let's run the app. Let's say npm run dev. It's gonna be open the localhost 5174. Okay, maybe you will get 5173. It doesn't matter. Okay, so that's what we have. And now let's remove a couple files that we don't need. But first, I'm going to initialize the git in this current project. So I'm gonna do git init. All right. And also now I'm going to remove the asset here. Let's remove that. I'm going to remove the CSS. And also let's go to main. I think it's fine. Let's go to index. Let's remove all this content here. Let's go to app.jsx and I'm going to remove the all inside this div with class name app here and put app. Okay. Let's remove the use state and everything up here. Now save, we should see just app here. All right, cool. Let's first change this app here with lowercase app, and also I'm going to create another component. So let's create folder called, let's say, components folder, and inside this component folder I'm going to create a file called ButtonFilters. Let's say .jsx, let's say rifce, and I'm going to import the button filters in here. So let's do button filters. We should see button filters here. Okay, cool. So now let's styling the app here. Okay, let's go to index, but first let's go to Google font and I'm gonna use Roboto font and I'm gonna use this regular 400. Okay, you can just select this and you can use import. I'm gonna copy this and paste that in here. Okay, the use that is pretty simple. I'm going to implement the font inside the body. So in this body I'm going to paste this CSS here. So let's paste that in here like so. All right, so now let's grab the class app and in here I'm going to say text align into center, and also I'm going to say maximal width, let's say 60 rem, and I'm going to make it center. So let's say margin 0 auto. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. Okay, it's in the center right now. So now let's go back to ButtonFilters component, and in here I'm going to create variable. So let's say cons. I'm going to give a name genderis, so it equals to array, and I'm going to give a value all, also actions, and also adventure. All right, and also comedy. I think comedy. Let's go back here. Animation, of course. We need to add animation here, animation, and also comedy. Okay, so let's save, and in here I'm going to remove this string. And also in here I'm gonna map through the gender. So let's say genderis dot map. Okay, we grab the individual item here, and in here I'm going to return button. So let's say button. Okay, and inside in here I'm going to render the item just like that. Then here I'm going to add the class name, set equals to, let's say, button dash wrapper. All right, let's save and let's see. Here we go. Okay, so let's styling this button a little bit. Let's go to index.css. So first let's add a comment here. Let's say button filters, and I'm gonna grab the button wrapper class, and in here I'm gonna set the display to flex, and also the justify content to center, and also the gap between the button, it should be, let's say, 1 rem. And also I'm gonna give a margin top to let's say 4 rem. Okay, if I save and let's take a look, this is what we have. Okay, and I need to, when I go to the mobile, let's say, let's make it small. As you can see, it's not responsive. All right, so to make it responsive, it's pretty simple. We can say flex wrap in here. So let's say flex wrap to wrap. Okay, if I save, and as you can see here, okay, nice. All right, so let's close this console. So now let's styling this button. So let's scroll down, and in here I'm gonna grab the button. So let's say button wrapper, and I'm going to grab all the button tag. Okay, let's remove this comma here. All right, so in here I'm going to set the height to rem, and give a padding top and bottom. Give a padding top and bottom. I'm gonna set that to 0, 1, left and right. It should be 1 rem. Okay, and also the cursor, I'm gonna set that to pointer, and also the border, let's say the border to none. Okay, this is what we have. Okay, so next, when this button active, I need to change the background and the color of the text. So in here I want to say button wrapper, we grab the button, and then in here, if the button have a class called active, I'm going to change the background color into, let's say, black, and also the color of the text into white. Okay, so now it's not gonna be effect right now because we don't yet change the class name. Okay, so if this button have a class name called active, it should be black. All right, so now let's working with the movie image component here. Okay, so first I'm going to create another component inside this component folder here. Let's give a name movies. Okay, movies.csx, let's say rrfce, and let's go back to app here, and I'm going to render that in here. But first I'm going to wrap that with a div. Okay, this div have a class name called, let's give a name image container, and also I'm gonna render the movies here like so. We should see movies. Okay, but now we need to get the data from the API, so let's go to the TheMovieDB.org. You can log in and go to these settings here. Okay, you can go to the settings and click this API, and you will see your API key. Okay, this is my API key, so let's put right here. And also you can go to developers.themoviedb.org. I'm going to put all the link in description, so you can go to the movies and then go to this get popular. So let's click this try and out. This is the URL that we are going to use, so let's just copy that and go in here. So in here I'm going to create function. So let's say fetch popular movie. Okay, set equals to, it's going to be async await function. So let's do async, and then in here I'm gonna say cons and then respond, and then set that equals to, I'm going to wait for fetch. I'm going to using fetch here, and let's put the string here. Okay, and also we need to put this API key right here. Okay, so you can just copy and put that in here like that. Okay, so we can just remove this, and now we need to create a state. All right, so let's say cons, I'm gonna give a name, let's say popular movie. Okay, and also set popular movies, set equals to use state. Okay, by default should be empty array. And then inside this function, I'm going to create variable called movies set equals to is going to be await for response.json. Okay, and I'm going to say set popular movie into movies. Okay, movies.results. Okay, so now we need to run this function inside the use effect. So let's do it here. So I'm going to say use effect. Okay, use effect, and then function here. And I need to run this function in the first time. So we need to add empty array in here. And also in here, let's fetch the, not catch, but fetch here. So let's change this to F, and we need to fetch popular movie here. Okay, so when I run that, it should be running this fetch, and then we should get this popular movie data here. So let's go back, and I'm using this extension. Let's go to components here. Let's make it bigger. So as you can see in this app, we have this state. Okay, so as you can see, we have all this response here. I don't know how to make it bigger like this one. Okay, so as you can see, we have 20 different data here. Okay, we have the backdrop path, we have the genre IDs, ID, original language, video, title, etc. Okay, so now we need to send this data here, this popular movie, into this movies component. So you can pass through the array in here, the state, or let's say popular movie set equals to popular movie in this component here. But we're not going to do that because we are going to use context API. So let's first create the context in here. Let's say create context. Okay, let's do context, and in here I'm going to say export. Let's say cons movie context set equals to create context. It's come from React. And then we need to wrap our component here with movie context.provider. So in here we can say movie context.provider. Okay, we need to wrap all this div like so. Okay, and also we need to send value here. So let's say value set equals to value. So let's first create this value variable. So I'm gonna do here, let's say cons value set equals to object here, and I'm gonna send this popular movie. So let's do here popular movie set equals to popular movie. Because we have same name, we don't need to put this popular movie, just like this. Okay, popular movie. All right, so now let's go to movies. We can access this popular movie with use context. So in here we can say cons. Okay, we grab the popular movie, come from use context. Okay, and we are going to paste the movie context, come from the app. All right, so now if I console log the popular movie, we should see the value. So let's save, let's take a look, let's open the console, and I'm gonna refresh. We had some warning here, so it should be inside the button filters. So let's go to button filters. We need to add key here. So let's say key set equals to item. The error should be gone. All right, so as you can see here, we have 20 different data. Really cool. And we are going to use the backdrop path here. So to use that is pretty simple. You can go to the database and go to this get started and go to these images, and then we can use this URL here. So we can copy, go to this movie component, and we are going to put image tag, and then I'm going to, let's say, put this URL here. Okay, like so. And also basically we need to use the, let's go back here, we're going to use this backdrop path here. Let's make it bigger. Yeah, let's copy this value, and I'm going to put that in here. When I save, and let's take a look, as you can see guys, we have this image. All right, pretty nice. But of course, we need to map through this popular movie because this is an array, right? So we can do, I think we can just remove this first, everything here. Okay. And we are gonna say popular movies dot map. We're going to say movie for individual movie. And then in here, we are going to render div. Okay, so like so. And then in here, I'm going to render image. And also I'm going to get the URL, this one. Let's copy and paste that in here. All right, paste that in here. And also this is the basically this one. Okay, backdrop path. Let's copy and we are going to put, let's say, movie dot backdrop path, and we are going to put the title here. So let's say movie dot title. Okay, so now if I save, and we should see have a lot of image here. Okay, really cool. So now let's render the title in here. So let's go back to the movies and I'm going to put h2 here, and let's say movies dot title. Okay, so if I save, we should see the title of the image here. Okay, cool. So now let's add the class name in this div. So let's put class name set equals to, I'm gonna say image card. Okay, and also we need to put image container right here. Okay, we have already do that. So let's go to index.css and I'm going to make it comment, let's say image. And in here, I'm going to grab the image container and I'm gonna say display to a grid, and also the grid template column into, I'm gonna use repeat, and I'm gonna say auto fill here, auto dash fill, and I'm gonna say min max. Okay, the minimum size I'm gonna say 5T RAM, and also the maximum I'm gonna use 1 fraction. All right, so if I save, we should see something like this. Okay, as you can see, it's responsive. Cool. So now let's add the gap between the image. Let's say gap, let's say 1 RAM, and also I'm gonna say margin top into 2 RAM. Okay, here we go. And now let's grab the image card. Let's say image container and all the image card. I'm going to change the color to white. Okay, let's say white. And also the border, let's say border radius, I'm gonna set that to 5 pixel. And also for the position, let's say relative, and also height, I'm gonna set that to 5D RAM. Okay, when I save, this is what we have. Okay, and also of course we need to set the width of the image 100%. So let's do here, I'm gonna grab the image card and then we grab all the image tag. Okay, and let's set the width to 100%, and also the height, let's say 100% as well. Okay, 100%, and also the object fit, I'm gonna set that to cover, not contain but cover. Okay, so now if I save, you should see something like this. Okay, really nice. But where's the title? The title is right here. We don't see that, so let's do image card here. So image card, and then I'm gonna grab the heads too. So let's say heading 2, and I'm gonna set the position to absolute. Okay, absolute, and then I'm gonna set the bottom 0. Let's say bottom 0, and we should see the title right here. Okay, we also need to set the left to, let's say left to 1 rem, and also the font size, I'm gonna set that to, let's say font size to 1 rem. Okay, and also I'm gonna add the text shadow to, let's say 2 pixel, and then black. So when I save, this is what we have. Okay, really nice. And this is a responsive, of course, because we set the autofill here and set the min and max. So let's see. Bam, bam. Okay, really cool. So of course the filter is not work for now, so let's make this work. So let's first close this index.css, and I'm going to create another state in this app. So let's do cons, and let's give a name filtered movie, and also set filtered movie. Okay, so that equals to should be useState, and by default should be empty array. Okay, but by default I need to set the filtered movie to popular movie. Okay, so we can do right here, we can just copy and paste, and I'm going to set the filtered movie to movies.result, because when the first time user go to this website, it should be showing all the category, right? So of course we need to send the filter movie into the context API. We can do here, and also the set filter movie as well. So let's do here. Okay, so now let's go to ButtonFilters Component, and we are going to change this gender here. Let's go to the movie database here. Let's go to movies. Okay, this movies here, and let's go to not movies, I think it should be genders. Okay, this genders, and we are going to try fetch this URL here. So I'm going to use standard client. So let's add new request, and I'm going to put here, and also for the API key we are going to get from here. Okay, I'm going to copy this and paste that in here. All right, and also if I send, and as you can see we have all the genre with the ID. Okay, so we can copy this, all this response, and I'm going to create another file inside the source here. I'm going to create untils folder. Okay, untils, not folder but file, untils files, and I'm going to say export. I'm going to say cons, and then gender is okay, so that equals to should be array. I think we can just copy this object here, and we can remove the object, okay, and put array and put this object. Okay, and what we need to use is basically, let's add all first. Okay, the ID should be 0, and name I'm gonna say all. Okay, and we are gonna use action, adventure, animation, and comedy. And for the crime, documentary, etc., we are going to remove that, just for make it simple. All right, so now we can import the genre inside the button filters. So we can say, I think we can remove this, and now we can use genre come from utils file. Okay, and of course we can access the name with item.name, and for the key I'm going to use item.id. Okay, when I save we should have same thing. Okay, cool. So now what we need to do is, let's first create a state. So I'm going to say cons, and then tab active. Okay, so let's do, I'm going to use camel case here. So let's say tab active and set tab active. Okay, set equals to use state. By default it should be 0, because 0 is all, right? And also in this button here I'm going to add on click event like this. Okay, and also here I'm going to say on click, not on abort but on click. When I click this button I need to run the function. Okay, the function that what we need to run is basically let's say handle click filter. Okay, and we are going to send the item.id. So let's create this function, and I'm going to do here, let's say cons handle click filter set equals to arrow function, and I'm going to console log the ID first so we can see the result. Let's say console log ID, and then let's take a look. If I go to inspect and then go to console here, and I'm going to click comedy, as you can see we have 35, animation, adventure, action, and all. Okay, we get the value, really cool. Let's go back. So inside this handle click filter, we are going to set the tab active into ID, okay, into this ID. And now we know tab active is basically the ID that we click in here, right? So now we need to add class name here. So let's say class name set equals to, and I'm gonna check if tab active is equals to item.id. Okay, we need to add class call, let's say active, okay, else we need to say undefined here. All right, so now as you can see 0 is active, okay, and action when I click should be active as well. Okay, really cool. And now what we need to do here is first I'm going to grab all the popular movie inside the context. Let's say cons, okay, we grab something from use context, and then we paste here the movie context, okay. And what we need to grab is a popular movie, this one here. Okay, let's do here popular movie, and also I'm gonna grab the set filter movie. All right, so in here what we need to do is I'm gonna say cons filter movie set that equals to, I'm going to grab the popular movie and I'm gonna set filter here, okay, dot filter, and I'm going to grab the individual movie and I'm going to filter by movie dot, let's see the result of the API. Let's go to network, let's refresh. Okay, I'm going to see this genre ID. Okay, we are going to filter by genre IDs. So let's do here movie.genre IDs. Okay, equals, not equals, but we are going to use include here. Okay, if the ID is include, the ID come from here. Okay, we are going to console log that first. Okay, so let's first console log the filtered movie here. Okay, so if I save and let's take a look, if I go to console and let's see, if I click action, we should see all the action. Okay, the genre IDs that have value, let's see here 28. Okay, if they have 28, it should be return the result in here. Okay, as you can see. So let's try to remove this and click the comedy, and as you can see comedy have ID 35, right? We should be include 35. As you can see here, it should be have 35 as well. Okay, it's working. So now let's close this and thunder as well, and now we are going to, let's remove this console. We are going to check first if ID, okay, if ID equals to 0, which is all, right? We are going to set the filter movie into popular movie, but else, okay, but else we are going to set the filter movie into this variable here, filter movie. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So now we need to go to the movies component here, and instead of using popular movie, we need to using the filtered movie now. So this filtered movie. Okay, so let's change that right here. We change this also, and when I save, let's take a look. If I click action, it should be showing the action category. If I click adventure, it should be showing the adventure category, animation, and also comedy. Okay, this is working. So now what we need to do is let's use animation in this filter. We are going to use frame of motion. So let's go to framer.com and this is the documentation. And also first we need to install the package. Okay, we can just copy the comment here. Let's open the terminal and I'm going to paste that in here and hit enter. All right, so it's done. Let's run that again. npm run dev. So let's go back to the frame of motion documentation, and as you can see here, we are going to use animate %. Animate % is basically allow components to animate out when they are removed from the React tree. Okay, we're going to use animate % to wrap the motion. Okay, so let's go to the app here, and in here I'm gonna use the animate let's say animate presents. Okay, and we are going to put this movie inside in here. Okay, so now let's go to movies.jsx here, and what we need to do is let's change this div into the motion. Okay, we are gonna say let's do motion.div. Let's say motion.div, and we are going to import the motion from frame of motion. So let's do up here, let's say import. We are going to grab the motion from frame of motion. Okay, and in here we are going to add the initial into, I'm going to change the opacity to 0 first, and then I'm going to animate, let's say animate into opacity 1. Okay, so let's take a look in the browser here. When I change the tab here, nothing happened. Okay, basically you cannot see the opacity, right? So let's add the key here. So we can say key set equals to movie.id. Okay, when I save, we should see the, as you can see right there. Okay, okay, and also the exit, we need to change that, we need to add the exit as well here. So exit, the opacity, I'm gonna set that to 0. Okay, so when I do here, you can see, all right, and also I'm gonna add the transition, and let's say set that equals to, I'm gonna set the duration into, let's say 0.5. Okay, so let's do that again. Okay, and also we can add layout here. Okay, when I add layout keyword to true, as you can see, magic will be happen here. When I click action, bam. Okay, really nice. But make sure you put the key here, because when we don't put the key, okay, it's not gonna work. Okay, the animation is not gonna work. So just make sure you put the key, okay, to identify that this div here have different key. Okay, because we have a different movie ID, right? So the last thing is I'm going to put the ID here into the env variable. Okay, so let's create the env file in the root here. So let's do .env, and then in here I'm gonna say, if you're using Vite, you can go to the Vite documentation here, and let's see, and we should put Vite underscore and anything that we want here. Okay, so let's do here, let's say Vite underscore, I'm gonna say API underscore key set equals to, I'm going to put the let's do this ID here. Okay, let's paste that in here. And also to use that is pretty simple. Let's go back here, we can use this import keyword here. Okay, let's go back and go to app, and we are going to remove this ID, and I'm going to put the import right here. Okay, we can say import meta.env.vite.api key. Okay, so let's remove this sum, and we can change that with API. So it should be work. Let's go back here. As you can see, it's still working. If you're using Create React App, you can go to this documentation here, and you can also create env file, and then you can create like this one, react underscore app, and then the API that you want here. To call the variable, you can do, I think, process.env. Where's that? This one here. You can do process.env.api underscore key. Okay, yeah, that's it. I think we're done with this project, guys. Of course, you can change the title here. Let's go to index.html, and I'm going to remove this title to, let's say, React filter animation. Okay, should be changed. Really cool. I think we're done. And yeah, I hope you will learn a lot of things, and see you in the very next video. Bye.